speechless. Welcome back to Future Classics. My name is Becky Evans and today we're going to take a look at the beautiful Ferrari F355. The F355 of 1994 has long been considered by experts and enthusiasts as the beginning of Ferrari's modern golden era. Taking position as CEO in 1991, Luca di Montezemolo demanded change in the lackluster lineup that Ferrari had. In came the 355 and was a welcome glow-up after the lackluster 348. It was out with the 80s influences and in with the modern 90s curves and sculptures. This car is still considered one of the most beautiful Ferraris of its generation, but it could back up its prettiness with performance as it had considerable upgrades to its quad-cam V8 engine. This included a 5-valve head and then also a bump up to 3.5 litres, hence the 355 name. All of that power was being pushed to the rear wheels via a 6-speed manual gated transmission initially, but actually the 355 was the first car to receive the innovative F1 paddle shift transmission. It wasn't until the F430 of 2004 and arguably the 458 of 2009 that they perfected the F1 gearbox. So the manual versions of these cars are still the most desirable today. In its day, this car was virtually unrivaled. Aston Martin and Lamborghini couldn't hold a candle to it. And it was only Porsche's aging 993 Turbo that proved to be a worthy adversary. The car came in 3 different guises, the Berlinetta, which was the coupe, the Spider, and also this one as we see here, which is the GTS with Targa roof. It really got you close to that screaming V8 and put the wind in your hair, but it's long been considered that the GTS is the nicest halfway house of all 3.
My name is Jez Brown and this is my Ferrari 355 GTS. The 355 was really my poster car when I was growing up as a young chap, and it was the car that I really lusted after very early on. And as soon as I had the means to buy one, I bought one. So yeah, it's a wonderful car. It's a hand-built car, and the last of the hand-built Ferraris, and it's something that I really love. My experience with them is that you have to buy the best you can afford, like any classic car, because they can be ruinous to own if you buy a bad one. It was the colour of the car that really drew me to it. I had a Ferrari Dino 246 in exactly the same colour in the past, and it was exactly the same spec, so the same exterior colour and the same interior colour of seats, and for that reason I just had to have this car. It's the only one in the world in this spec. It's in Hyperion blue with the dark blue leather interior, Scuro leather interior. So yeah, it's a pretty special car. The manual is the one to have. The gated 6-speed box is fabulous to use. I wouldn't berate the F1 gearbox, but it was a very early version of that type of gearbox, and it's quite rudimentary. I think it's a very classic Pininfarina wedge shape, and it has lovely curves as well. It's the last of I suppose the era of the Dino. It started with this sort of buttress, the buttresses at the back. It's the last one that had that. So yeah, I think it's the heritage of the car. The shape is there. You can see where its heritage has come from. The 355 is an incredible car to drive. It's all about the engine. It's dominated by the engine. The sound of the car is phenomenal. It's allegedly one of the best sounding cars in the world, and you know, I wouldn't dispute that. Having driven a few sports cars myself, it's an incredible sound. So the car's got a switchable Capristo exhaust and high flow cats. It's not one for the novice. It's a bit scary to own this sort of car because of the maintenance involved. The maintenance can be quite heavy, quite expensive. But again, if you buy a good one, it's not too bad. And that's the key to it all, really. If I was to say, on average, if you were to put £2,500 to £3,000 a year into a cookie jar, that would be your average spend year on year, year in, year out. You can have the odd bad one, which will be every 3 to 4 years, which the timing belts have to be done, the engine has to be dropped. That's more likely to be sort of £4,000 or £5,000 in total. A very kind gentleman, when I was a 12, 13-year-old chap, let me sit in his 308 GTS, a blue one, and ever since I I grew up wanting a blue Ferrari, and my first Ferrari was a blue one, and this one's obviously a blue one. So yeah, that's the story behind the blue Ferrari. I think it was a classic when it was built. Some cars are, aren't they? You just know. I think if anyone's ever seen the kind of iconic Clarkson video of the 355, it was built to be a classic. For me, it's the new Dino. It's the new 246 Dino, and I can see, you know, it gaining that type of status in a not too distant future.
I have the sunshine, I have a gated manual, and I have a V8. I'll tell you one thing, I can't wait to drive this car. What is this sorcery? When you think of the noise that a Ferrari makes, like that is exactly it. When I grew up as a child, that was the noises that I was making when I was imitating what I thought a car should sound like. It is music to your ears. It's giving me goosebumps. Like, it's made me just, I couldn't even speak. The noise of it, the sound of this car has just floored me. After the 348, this must have been such a welcome change. It was the first sort of baby supercar that Ferrari had come out with, and people loved it. It had the Pininfarina good looks. It had this amazing sounding engine to it, 380 horsepower, a gated manual. What's not to love? I could talk over and over again about the technical changes and the technical this, but honestly, this is a feeling. This is something deep down inside of you as a car lover and as a car enthusiast that it's just connecting with. The Capristo exhaust just makes it that high-pitched noise at just over 5,500 RPM. As it's going towards 6, it suddenly breaks into song. What on earth? Like, I feel like a little girl behind the wheel right now, absolute little girl. If this is what Maranello is all about, then I want in. I need to have one of these. The noise of it sat behind your ears, like it's rumbling away. Pop it into first, that click of the gated manual, and you pull away. The clutch isn't too heavy, it's quite light. It's smooth, naturally aspirated. Oh my God. You know, I always thought to myself that I was born in the wrong era, like 80s, 90s cars, that's where my heart lies, that's where I've always been drawn to, because it was a time when car manufacturers were making cars for pure enthusiasts. They were thinking about all of the things to really send our sensors into overload. And this is exactly it. I'm just imagining what it must have been like to be around Maranello during that time when they brought this out. It was one of the most powerfully naturally aspirated engines of its time. I can imagine them rolling out the front doors, taking it for a spin and being like, we've done all right here, lads. The 355 to this day is still a really popular model and still considered such a beautiful car of its generation. It has aged really well. It doesn't look out of place today. It just looks like a piece of art, a piece of sculpture, a piece of automotive history. This car is special to the owner because it's a one-of-one, the colour, the leather, everything. And I feel special driving this car. I can't get over the complete sensory overload of driving this. You just want to drive it and remember that many years ago, this is what driving was all about. Enjoyment. Now with any of these cars, when you're looking to buy into a classic car, yes, they do have certain maintenance costs. Yes, it is a Ferrari, so they can be temperamental. Personally, if I was going to go for one of these, I'd definitely go for the manual box. There was over 11,000 of these cars produced, so there are a good few of them about. So I think you have the choice of finding one which is in better condition. I love the way the gearbox just clicks into place. Gated manual. It is like, I love it. It gets better. It gets better and better. They talk about this car as one of the last greats, one of the last handmade Ferraris. And you can honestly see why this car is special. It has so much character, so much magic to it. I am absolutely in love, and I totally understand why you would want to own one of these. The value of these cars are only going one way, and that is up. Right now, if you want to get yourself one of these, 70 to 80,000 pounds will get you one with a few more miles on the clock, whereas a concourse condition one, you're looking at around 200,000. For me, it's the perfect cross-section. The engine, the era, the driving experience, the sound. I'm completely in love with the whole package. I know myself that I am just going to spend the rest of my evening trying to figure out how I can get myself one of these. Maybe I'll just take this one home with me. I don't know. Thank you so much for joining us on Future Classics, and I will see you again super soon.